Boom, 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 boom. Now tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to run. When judgment comes for you. When judgment comes for you. Tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to hide. When judgment comes for you. 'Cause it's gonna come for you.
Making it for water, easy, see some for Charlie. Little boo for God's got him. And I'm gonna miss everybody out of roll and flow like I ain't looked at a while. Like I'm playing for dust and they play too deep for beats. Little legs I can't too deep. Tell me your feature deceased with it, please. Marry me by my grand way. You can't go follow
God bless you, working on a plan to
Back on Wrestling Network. Welcome back to the CrosUp, your weekly look back at the week that was in professional wrestling. This week we'll be running through the results and happenings from Raw on April the 27th to Collision on May the 2nd. We open with Raw. We open with a recap of Jacob Fatu challenging Roman Reigns last week. Roman and the Usos are in like the little dark room where Solo kind of sits around the table and conversates with his MFTs. But this time it's like Roman and the Usos kind of in the same kind of situation. It's kind of a dark room. They're having kind of a meeting. But Roman is not so sure what to do about Jacob. Jimmy thinks it's better to avoid Fatu, while Jay wants to teach Fatu a lesson in respect for the family. Reigns says he'll handle this tonight, and they put their hands together, with Reigns suggesting that the team be called the first family of the bloodline this time. We then go to Seth Rollins. He comes out to get things going. Rollins has a lot to get to tonight, starting with Roman Reigns holding his World Heavyweight title because Braun Breaker took him out. That is why he wants Braun Breaker out here right now, which is exactly what he gets, plus Paul Heyman is with him. Rollins says Breaker took everything away from him last year, and Rollins wants to know why. Breaker wants to know what Rollins ever gave him. For months, Breaker and Bronson Reed had to stand there while Rollins said his same thing over and over again, and then they had to fight Rollins' battles for him. Rollins talks about going down to NXT and wanting to face Shawn Michaels best in NXT, which is why he fought Braun Breaker for the World Heavyweight title a few years ago in the first place. Then he agreed to take Breaker under his wing because he knew his potential. Rollins knows what it means to be a 28-year-old star with all the potential in the world. The difference is that Breaker is trying to take over, but Rollins already did it. The reality is that Breaker isn't ready, but Breaker says he lost to the best in the world, which is better than someone who just says it. Rollins then says that was pretty good one there, baby Steiner. Rollins then issues a challenge for Backlash, but Steiner needs to understand that he isn't even the second best in his own family. So a good couple of shots there from Rollins to Braun Breaker, obviously, talking about his family lineage and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see where that continues to go, but it seems to be that that's going to be a match coming up at Backlash. We then have the Judgment Day. They jump Stephanie Vaquera in the back, and they end up crushing her with one of the equipment cases in the back. They kind of squish her in between two of them. We then have Penta. He defeats Rusev via pinfall after he escapes the Accolade, and then he starts to do a springboard, but he kind of fakes off, and then he scores a roll up off of that. We then after the match, Ethan Page runs in to help beat Penta down, and Rusev and Page are stomping away. Javon Evans then runs in for the save, including an OG cutter to Rusev, and then him and Penta kind of shake hands and seem to be somewhat of an alliance going forward. We then have El Grande Americano with his El Grande Americano 2.0, I should say, with Los Americanos. He is ready to face the OG El Grande Americano in the Matt Squares' mask match in AAA later in May. He says that's as big as it gets for him, and he needs to be ready, which is why he wants to face the greatest luchador of all time in Rey Mysterio tonight. We then have Becky Lynch. She comes out to cut a promo. She is very pleased to have gotten her Women's Intercontinental Championship back because it means that she has won 4 different women's titles at WrestleMania and has more wins there than any other woman in history. The best thing was looking out and seeing her daughter, who needs to learn that there is more to being a champion than just money and 5-star hotels. It's also about facing the best, which is why it's open challenge time. Io Sky then comes out, and Lynch isn't sure about Io being the challenger. Io issues a challenge, but Becky says she wanted someone challenging and exciting, but Io is neither challenging nor exciting. Becky then thinks this must be Io accepting on behalf of Rhea Ripley because she wanted to face Shawn Michaels, not Marty Jannetty. Io Sky knocks her down, and Adam Pearce says, "Let's do the match right now." And Becky jumps her from behind as the referee comes in to start the match. Becky then defeats Io Sky via pinfall, following a distraction from Asuka, allowing Becky to hit the manhandle slam and retain her championship. After the match, Asuka continues to lay Io Sky out and eventually locks in the Asuka lock before letting go and bailing, of course. We then have the OG El Grande Americano. He asked Rey Mysterio if he has to worry about Mysterio getting involved in the mask versus mask match on May 30th. Mysterio says no. He then starts to speak Spanish, which obviously the OG version of the Grande Americanos doesn't know how to speak Spanish, so he just kind of says, sí. Then 2.0 and the Los Americanos come in, and they aren't happy with Mysterio, who says he's not on anyone's side, but that doesn't seem good enough, and the three of them then bail. LA Knight interrupts the Usos and tries to talk them out of this reunion with Roman. Jimmy says it isn't LA Knight's business, but Knight says the power will eventually corrupt things, and that makes it Knight's business because it'll eventually affect him. We then have Joe Hendry. He comes out for his concert to make his debut on Monday Night Raw. He sings about officially signing with Raw, and he's fine with Oba Femi and acknowledges the OTC, but can we fire Logan Paul? Logan Paul and Austin Theory then come out to interrupt, says they cannot be fired, and declares that everyone else should be fired other than them. Hendry then laughs off the idea of the Vision being winners because all he saw on ESPN was a couple of primetime losers. They clear Hendry's concert equipment out of the ring, and the fight is on, with the Street Profits eventually running in for the save, and then Hendry hits a running dive out onto Theory and Paul and poses with the Street Profits before we cut away. Grayson Waller is then annoyed about not getting an opportunity of his own and insults Oba Femi, who pops up behind him. Femi says if Waller wants an opportunity, he can have one tonight, and Adam Pearce says it's official. So Grayson Waller will face Oba Femi later tonight. We then have Joe Hendry in the back. He thanks the Street Profits for saving him, with the Profits suggesting he gets a new shirt to replace the blue one since he is a Raw superstar now, so he might need to start wearing red. Joe Hendry seems to agree and then bails. The Street Profits then run into Seth Rollins. They aren't impressed because Rollins isn't special, and last week was about the Vision and not Seth Rollins. We then go to Rey Mysterio. He defeats El Grande Americano 2.0 via pinfall when the OG Americano cuts 2.0 from cheating. He stops him from cheating, and then Rey hits the 619 and the slingshot splash into the pin for the win. After the match, Rey takes the foreign object, puts it in his tights because OG Americano doesn't need it anymore, and then Mysterio leaves, and then the two Grande Americanos brawl until the segment ends. We then look at Jacob Fatu wrecking Solo Sikoa and the MFTs on SmackDown. We then get a Backlash rundown. We get Rollins versus Braun Breaker made official, and as well as Io Sky versus Asuka. So those are officially set for Backlash, obviously, as well as the other matches that were already made. We then have Asuka. She says she has blamed herself for Io Sky's mistakes for so long, but now she realizes that Io is the real problem. Io is her biggest failure because Sky failed her family. Now they're both alone because Asuka thought they could be a family again. Nothing will stop her from destroying Io at Backlash after it's all said and done. We then have Oba Femi. He defeats Grayson Waller via pinfall, following the fall from Grace powerbomb. After the match, Oba Femi says he and the people are feeling good around here. Waller isn't so much, but Femi did hear Waller say something that got his attention. He wanted a chance, so Femi will take it on himself with an open challenge to anyone who wants to try and climb the mountain that is Obafemi. And he said he needs to just stay ready, and everyone else need to just be ready to be in for the fight of their life, pretty much. Liv Morgan then talks to Roxanne Perez, apologizes for what she thought of Roxanne while she was gone. She was watching Raw, and Finn Balor put himself before the family. Liv wants to support Roxanne in what she's doing, so she'll be in the corner tonight. Roxanne trusts her, but needs 1 second backstage before she comes out, where she kind of looks troubled a little bit. Finn Balor then pops up and tells Roxanne to be quiet, but she can't trust, and says she can't trust the Judgment Day. Roxanne asks if she can't trust them or him. Roxanne throws him out with Finn saying he hopes she knows what she's doing, implying that bad things may be headed her way. We then have Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez defeat Lyra Valkyria and Bayley when Roxy hits Pop Rocks on Bayley for the win. We then get video on Sol Ruca from that had debuted last week, so we get kind of a view of what she's done in NXT and what we can expect from her coming in the future. We then have Roman Reigns come out for our main event segment. He and the fans are obviously, the fans are really happy to see him. Roman even makes mention of the reaction before saying this title was made in spite of him. The reality is that the man makes the title, not the title makes the man, which is what he has done again. He has made this title relevant, and now you can respect this title or even acknowledge it. Let's demonstrate, and he says, acknowledge me and acknowledge the championship. This brings out Jacob Fatu, with Reigns saying Fatu is right on cue because Reigns was just getting to talking about him. Reigns hopes that Fatu has made the right decision, but Fatu says he didn't need a week or even an hour to know what to do. Fatu still needs the title because Reigns still doesn't know what it means to be like him. While the Bloodline was running things, Fatu was foaming at the mouth, and he didn't even get a phone call from his family. You know who did get a call, or you know who did call him? Solo Sikoa. That doesn't sit well with Roman, who says Fatu is either completely confused or dumber than he thought. Sikoa couldn't even get a cup of coffee delivered to the building. Who does Fatu think runs this place? The fans then chant for Roman, and he says the fans aren't lying. Roman never forgot about him, and he's the one who signed off on Jacob coming in. The reality is Fatu has never earned it, and he isn't going to give Roman a shot because that's nepotism, which Roman isn't allowing. Fatu then grabs a Tonga death grip, and Roman goes down. And Fatu promises to take everything from him. That leaves Reigns laying, so Fatu leaves with Roman accepting the challenge at Backlash. But Fatu isn't waiting for Backlash, and he'll be back next week to see Reigns again. So that wraps up Raw. Pretty hot segment. I'm pretty excited for Roman versus Jacob. I think it could be a really, really good match. And I think it definitely has potential to be really good. Obviously, if they give it time and Roman gives it the time to put together a solid match like he did at WrestleMania with Punk, I think it could be a really awesome match at Backlash. So, but as far as best match for Raw, I would go with the women's tag between the Judgment Day girls and Bayley and Lyra. I thought it was a really solid tag team match. But you know, again, I say this a lot. I feel like, but this is one of those shows that's kind of setting up a lot of stuff headed to Backlash, and there were some matches, but it was a lot of talking segments and kind of backstage segments to kind of set up a good bit of stuff. So, yeah, I think it was a solid episode of Raw, solid ending. But we'll move from there on to NXT. NXT opens with a recap of the revenge shows from the past couple of weeks, and even features some stars that are now gone and have moved up to the main roster. We then have a segment where the bosses of NXT, kind of Shawn Michaels, Shawn Michaels, who runs NXT, Robert Stone, who's the GM, and then Matt Bloom, who's the trainer in the PC. They go over the stars who they have left, with Robert Stone saying we need some fresh names involved. Shawn Michaels then says this is what NXT does. They reload. They don't, they're constantly having to churn out new talent. And, they just kind of recalibrate anytime this happens, because this happens about once a year, it seems. Shawn, they need to pick someone. They need to throw some names out there. They don't have a ton of time. They need to pick someone. They seem to say that they need to throw a stick of dynamite in the locker room and see what happens, see who emerges. And Robert Stone gets the idea that he needs to be on his P's and Q's going forward, because Shawn Michaels is really counting on him. So we then go to our opening contest. Miles Bourne defeats Saquon Sugars via pinfall, kind of in a repeat of last week. Obviously, Lennox kind of got shoved into Sugars last week. This week, Sugars gets shoved into Lennox, and then Bourne hits Bourne again and retains his North American Championship. After the match, he celebrates. Bourne celebrates, and Tristan Angels, who is from Evolve. I'm pretty sure he just recently debuted on Evolve, so he's getting a pretty quick call up from Evolve to NXT. So Tristan Angels pops up he in the crowd, and he says he'll be around a little more often going forward, and he's someone that Miles Bourne should keep an eye on. We then have Cam Hendricks, who is also from Evolve. He was also Anthony Luke in LFG. He comes from behind and attacks Bourne, actually, and lays him out. So Cam Hendricks and Tristan Angels, new names, coming in for NXT from Evolve. So they may be faces to know and look for going forward. We then have Kendall Gray and Ren Sinclair. They are in the back talking about all of the incoming talent. Kalani Jordan then comes in to say she's not impressed and gets mocked for her recent losses. Kalani says Gray is going to turn on Sinclair at some point, with Sinclair issuing a challenge for tonight. So we'll see what happens between Ren and Kalani later tonight. We then get video on Tony D'Angelo and his world championship victories and all he's been going through over the last few weeks. We then have him come out to cut a promo. He says he has been the constant around here. No one on the roster is tough enough to take the title from him. That includes whomever sent him the box last week. Obviously, he got sent a box with a kind of Japanese character on it that meant war, apparently. You have people from all over, jumping stars, Europeans stepping up, and Keanu Carver staring him down. He knows the box was a warning, and then the lights go out. A guy with a rather large robe comes out with his face covered. He gets in the ring, and the fans seem to think that this person is evil. They would be correct. The man hands Tony D'Angelo something rolled up, and then he unmasks to reveal himself as Evil. Evil is from New Japan. He has previously been an IWGP heavyweight champion. He's a pretty big star for over there. He was never like the top dog. I mean, he won the world title, but it wasn't a very long reign, if I remember correctly. And I don't think it was a very successful time period or anything like that. But he's a big star, a big get, definitely a top level person to kind of put at the top of the card immediately against D'Angelo. So we'll see what kind of impact he can make. He's obviously one of those Japanese stars that's kind of coming here to, I would say, somewhat end his career. He's kind of trying to, make the money on the back end and kind of, experience what it's like to be in the States as a WWE superstar. So we'll see what he can do. I'm excited to see what he can do for sure. But D'Angelo unwraps the shirt that Evil had handed him. It has the exact same symbol as the box from last week. Evil then just leaves, seemingly. He was just kind of trying to send a message to Tony D'Angelo here. And then as he leaves, Tavion Heights pops in the ring, and he hits a belly-to-belly suplex on D'Angelo. We then have an unnamed man that we also have never seen before, but his name is Will Cruz. He is from Progress, and he runs in to hit a moonsault on D'Angelo. So a lot of people making a big impact in these first few segments to start the show. So We then have Shiloh Hill and Tatum Paxley. They seemingly bury Blake Monroe for one last time. She'll be popping up on SmackDown in coming weeks. Tatum Paxley talks about her issues with attachment, and Shiloh says he's set up a simulation to find out how Ricky Saints does his moves to help him win tonight. They seem to get along well, but he needs to go get ready for his match. She's going to enjoy the scenery here in the graveyard. We then have Birthright. They show a clip of the team attacking Dorian Van Dukes. Apparently, he can't be here for their scheduled match, so EK Prosper is going to do it on his own. But then that earns him a beatdown, and Sean Legacy runs in, and they will actually team tonight. And EK Prosper and Sean Legacy do defeat Birthright, represented by Uriah Connors and Stax, when Legacy hits Shambles on Stax. After the match, they continue to beat down, but another Evolve star, Tate Wilder, comes in. He runs in to make the save. Wilder then tries to do a move from the apron, but lands on his feet, and he has to end up hitting a double clothesline on them on the outside. We then have Jada Parker and a bunch of other women in the women's locker room talk about incoming women when Callie Armstrong comes in to say that they are all scared of what they don't know. She's the difference maker around here, and if that starts with Jada, so be it. Jada is not taking that sitting down, and they need to be held apart. So obviously more new stars making themselves pretty well known. So we then go to Shawn Michaels. He announces that the NXT Premium Live events going forward will be airing on the CW starting in the summer. We look at Izzy Dame taking out Lola Vice last week. Robert Stone then welcomes in Tate Wilder to NXT, who had obviously debuted in the previous segment. Lola Vice then pops in to say she's going to call out Izzy Dame. She then comes out to the ring, says she needs to get straight to the point by calling out Izzy. Sean Spears pops up on the screen for a distraction as the Culling appear behind Lola. She says they got her, and Mr. Iguana pops up and makes the save, which is her mixed tag team partner with the they have the mixed tag titles from AAA. So Mr. Iguana makes the save for Lola here in this situation. We then have Saquon Sugars and Lennox. They argue in the or Deion Lennox. They argue in the back again, but are calmed down with about talking about getting the tag team titles back. We then have another debuting person, Lizzie Rain. She defeats Nikita Lyons via pinfall when she hits a thunderstruck kick. We then go back to Tavion Heights. He comes up to Miles Bourne, who wants to know what was up with attacking Tony D earlier. That's not the Heights that he knows, but Heights asks how it's different than Miles attacking Ethan Page. Bourne then backs down a bit and talks about the stars who are coming in. Heights says you can add his name to the dangerous ones. Heights leaves, and Keanu Carver comes in to say there are a lot of sharks around here, but he is the Great White. The Vanity Project then talk about how things are changing around here. And Jackson Drake says he feels like he's on top of the world thanks to Micah, which is the name of the girl that he went out with last week. Jasper Troy then comes in and says he isn't impressed and wants a match with Jackson next week. We then have Kalani Jordan. She defeats Ren Sinclair via pinfall, following a one-of-a-kind moonsault. We then get video on Zarya. This is a video that got raked pretty hard over the coals last week. Or that during this week, because it was very AI generated, and Twitter's community notes even called it out for being so. So they got a lot of shit for this video. But it's a video kind of talking about she ended Sol Ruca once and for all, and now she's ready to make a difference in the division and be at the top where she belongs and deserves to be. We then get video for the main event tonight, Ricky Saints versus Shiloh Hill. There's all the kind of stuff that they've been through lately. And then we get the match. Shiloh Hill defeats Ricky Saints, sending him off into the sunset to go to SmackDown next week or later this week. And he defeats him via pinfall when he hits the Whisper to the Beast to win the match. After the match, Shiloh Hill celebrates in the crowd. We then cut back to Tony D'Angelo. He goes to see the bosses and says he loves chaos, and Shawn Michaels says it's time for him to prove that he can last through the chaos. Most of the matches were pretty, down the middle this week. I won't say there was particularly one that really, really stood out above the others. I thought the tag with the speed division guys, EK Prosper and Sean Legacy versus Birthright, was pretty solid. But just because it kind of meant a little bit more and it had a little bit more of a story behind it, I will go with Shiloh versus Ricky. I think they put together a pretty good match. So that's what I will go with for the best match this week on NXT. We then go to Dynamite. We open with a quick preview of the show. We get video of the MJF versus Kevin Knight match that will open us up tonight. That match does open things up, and Kevin Knight is able to defeat MJF via pinfall when MJF brings the TNT title into the ring to distract the ref to allow him to use the Dynamite Diamond Ring, only for Kevin Knight to use this opportunity to low blow MJF and then roll him up for the win. So MJF continuing to try to cheat, but it has not seemingly been successful for him in the last couple of opportunities because Darby took advantage of it, and now Kevin Knight has taken advantage of it. MJF is stunned afterwards. He hits him with a knee and loads up the ring once again, but Darby Allin descends from the ceiling, hits the Scorpion Death Drop. MJF grabs the mic and says, "You people suck." He insists that he was barely trying in the match, so all he wants is a rematch for the world title. Darby wants something in return, but doesn't say what that is. He kind of wants MJF to put something up on his own. Instead, if he beats Brody King tonight, he thinks Kevin Knight actually should get a title shot. Brody then comes in to say he's taking Darby out tonight, and then he'll face Kevin next week. We then get video for Brody versus Darby, kind of how that got set up last week, and what these two guys are kind of capable of and all that kind of stuff. But then have Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. They are in for the I Quit match that FTR challenged them to, with Cope bringing up that Cage has quit before. Christian obviously says, I didn't say I quit. Then he walks away, and Cope says he totally said it, to make it a little goofy haha. We then have the Brawling Birds. They defeat Emily J and Jordan Blade when they hit the two birds, one stone on Blade. Tekla would love to stop calling them dumb bitches, but they are in fact dumb bitches, and there are too many of them in AEW. The Brawling Birds need to mind their own business and stick to being a tag team. And Sky Blue's kind of there and mentions and talks about how she doesn't like them much either. We then have Kazuchika Okada. He defeats Ace Austin via pinfall, following a tombstone and a rainmaker. After the match, Konosuke Takeshita comes out to kind of stare Okada down from the entrance ramp. We then go to an Old West town for a Bandito vignette, but it's Swerve Strickland instead, and he burns a Bandito wanted poster while he's kind of standing there in the desert.
Yeah.
What? We then have commentary pop up, and they explain what happened on Collision, as Jon Moxley basically offered Will Ospreay a spot in the Death Riders. We see the Death Riders training with Will Ospreay showing up. Ospreay is not cleared, but he's going to Japan for a big title match. Moxley then says that's loyalty, and Ospreay is too good to be true. Moxley says Ospreay needs to drop everything, including his anger and feelings about him, because they don't need excess baggage. He's not making any promises, but when he makes commitment to something, he sees it through to the end. Ospreay seems in with the whole idea, and is surprised to hear that there is no ring. They're starting from the ground up, and the camera is then shoved away. So Moxley is seemingly going to train Ospreay in the way of the Death Riders and toughen him up so he doesn't end up being fragile for the rest of his career and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens with that going forward. We then have Cage and Cope. They defeat Roppongi Vice via pinfall when Cage hits the spear on Trent. After the match, Cope puts Trent Beretta in the crossface and makes him quit, obviously, to kind of lead towards that match. We then go to earlier today. The Demand once again have beat up Chris Jericho. Ricochet tells him to leave for good, and Jericho, while getting his ass kicked, tells him to eat shit. And then they continue to beat him down. We then have the Divine Dominion. They retain their tag team titles over Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander when they both hit Shida with a double choke slam. MJF then interrupts Andrade and Don Callis' conversation, blaming Andrade for Darby Allin being world champion in the first place. Andrade seems to deny this happening, but Don Callis calms it down. So everything's cool, but I see a Andrade and MJF match coming in the future. We then have Roosh defeat Steven Fuerte via pinfall following the horns in the corner. The Ops then are ready to dominate again, with Hook going after the TNT Championship on Collision this weekend. Samoa Joe wants Will Ospreay, who shouldn't be doing anything with the Death Riders because obviously the Ops stood with him previously, and it seems like a bit of disrespect coming that way. So we'll see what that has going forward. We then have Stokely. He has a challenge for Orange Cassidy next week. Orange will face Dax, and the winner will either get a tag team title shot or a trios title shot. So if the conglomeration wins, they'll get a tag team title shot. And then if Dax wins, the FTR and Tommaso Ciampa walks in and says he'll be their trios partner if Harwood is able to get the win. So I would imagine FTR will find a way to win that one, and we'll get FTR and Tommaso versus the conglomeration for the trios championships. And then we go to our main event. Darby Allin defeats Brody King via pinfall following 2 coffin drops. I believe he hit one on the floor, or he hit some kind of move on the floor, but he hits 2 coffin drops back in the ring after he had kind of beaten him down on the outside. And then after the match, they shake hands. Kevin Knight pops in the crowd for a stare down for obviously their match next Wednesday on Dynamite. Darby versus Brody was best match of the night for me. As long as Darby's going to do these all-out bangers on TV, he's probably going to be best match for me. So, and Brody's a good talent to kind of obviously a bigger guy can kind of throw Darby around. So, not a bad matchup without a doubt. So, we'll go from there to Impact. We open Impact with our usual kind of recap of what happened on the previous week's episode. We also open with a match in the ring. We get Jeff Hardy defeating Vincent via pinfall, following a distraction from a returning broken mat, allowing Jeff to hit the swanton and get the win. Frankie Kazarian is ready for the guitar strap match tonight because he's been in the first of a bunch of kinds of matches over the last 20 years, and tonight he's going to do it again and do it successfully. We then have Mustafa Ali starting his international kind of open challenge. He defeats, I believe I think last week they said he was from either Australia or New Zealand, but Adam Brooks, he defeats him via pinfall following a 450 splash. It was a pretty competitive match. Adam Brooks didn't look too bad. I think he could be a guy that could be interesting going forward on Impact Television. We then have Eric Young. He wants to face EC3 once and for all next week and kind of blow off their feud. Rosemary, Alley, and Mara Sade then defeat Tessa Blanchard, Mila Moore, and Victoria Crawford when Alley is able to hit the code breaker on Moore. We then have Santino. He says he has been cleared of all charges and he has authority back again as kind of the director of authority. Next week, Moose and Leon Slater will take on the system, plus the tag team and knockouts titles will be on the line. Indy Hartwell is happy with Morella's decision because she's going to get the knockouts title shot, despite Daria Ray trying to kind of squash this before it gets too far. She says she's coming after Ariana Grace, and hopefully she will be the new knockouts champion after next week. So we'll see. Mike Santana is then happy with his match against Rich Swann last week. And then Nick Nemeth shows up and suggests that he may be cashing in his Call Your Shot Gauntlet trophy here pretty soon. We then have Daria Ray. She's on the phone, or she's on like a Zoom call with whoever seems to be her boss that's giving her authority and all that kind of stuff. She kind of questions whether Santino actually has authority or not. And the boss seemingly says that he does. Indy Hartwell then comes in, and Daria threatens to not renew her contract if she continues to kind of go after her. So we'll see what happens with that. Mr. Elegance then defeats the hometown man via pinfall following a wind-up DDT. Allie and Mara Sade are happy when Rosemary comes in to say they still have a lot of work to do. They all then dance. Rosemary even is doing a little bit of dancing, and she seems annoyed that she kind of got caught up in the celebration of the team. We then go to Lei Ying Li. She is crushed, and she is ready to leave TNA behind. Tommy Dreamer then comes up to tie this in to his feud with Raven. He talks about how they were able to kind of overcome things after a while. Everyone believes in Lei Ying Li, and she actually does agree to stay after it's all said and done. We then have Leon Slater come out for a promo. He's happy to be here because he is getting closer and closer to being the longest reigning X Division champion of all time. That's all fine, but he's not happy with Cedric Alexander, who can't keep Slater's name out of his mouth. Alexander comes out, who says he has earned a title shot, which will come on May 14th, a day before Leon is set to break the record. The rest of the system jump Slater, but Moose runs in to make the save. Brian Myers gets powerbombed onto the rest of the team, and Alicia Edwards has to bail to avoid a spear. We then have Ryan Nemeth. He is feeling left out by his big brother, and he's explaining this to AJ Francis. After explaining that he is just not like Nemeth slapping his leg, Francis points out that the Nemeths did all of this to him. He doesn't care and wants Nick to leave Casey Navarro to him. And then we have our guitar strap match. Elijah is able to win this over Frankie Kazarian. He knocks Frankie Kazarian silly with a guitar shot, and that allows Elijah to touch all four corners, this is one of the touch four corners matches. So that is how he wins the match. That was the best match of the show. Like I said, it was kind of like the NXT show. That was just kind of the match that had the most kind of rivalry kind of going into it. It's not that it was particularly like outstanding per se or anything like that, but it was definitely the best match of the show for me, just because it had a little bit more juice to it than maybe the others did. We then go to SmackDown from there. We open with a look at Jacob Fatu versus Roman Reigns being set up for Backlash, with Fatu laying Roman out with a tongue and death grip on Raw. We then have Cody Rhodes to come out to cut a promo to start things. Earlier today, Cody met with the medical team, and he is officially cleared for action. So what is next for him on SmackDown? This brings out Ricky Saints, of all people, who he gets pretty fired up during his entrance, and he says he's great and suave and handsome and everything your mom wishes you were. This is now Friday Night Saints, so Rhodes asked what the difference is between the last time Saints stepped up to him. It's that he doesn't have his NXT championship, but Saints suggests that he's ready to take Cody's title, and the match seems ready to go for later tonight. Before Saints can leave, though, Cody says he's easy to find, hard to beat, kind of reminding us that he said that in a previous week. We then look back at Fatal Influence making their debut last week. We then have Charlotte and Alexa Bliss. They are asked about, obviously, Fatal Influence having the numbers advantage, 3-2. Rhea Ripley pops in and says she's here if they need her. Charlotte doesn't seem like they do, as 3 is a crowd and they can do it by themselves. We then go to a match. JC Jane is able to defeat Charlotte Flair via pinfall when a brawl breaks out on the outside, and JC takes advantage of Flair being distracted by this, and she hits the rolling encore and gets the pinfall victory. After the match, they continue to beat down Alexa and Charlotte until Rhea comes in to make the save. Charlotte doesn't seem to be too happy about it, but she does say, does end up shaking Rhea's hand and saying thank you for helping us out. We then go to Paige and Brie Bella. They are ready to defend their tag team titles tonight against anyone, or they're ready to defend them against anyone, but especially tonight against the Irresistible Forces, who are getting their rematch clause, of course. We then have R-Truth talking to Fraxium. Damian Priest walks up. He thinks that Axiom is one of the Americanos. Damian Priest thinks that R-Truth has given them a title shot tonight, so he even offers it himself. Damian seems ready. Frazier cuts him off and says they weren't talking about that, but they'll take the shot. Says they're looking forward to it. Fraxium then leaves, and R-Truth is pissed, says they can't just be handing out title shots. He was giving them tax advice, which Damian seems super confused and even a little bit pissed off that happened that way. We then have Miz and Kit Wilson. They set up a briefcase full of money to kind of lure in Danhausen. It's supposed to kind of go off. It says it has a sign that says "Free Human Monies," pointing at a briefcase. They then hide, and Danhausen then comes up and grabs a couple of wads of cash and leaves, and no booby trap had gone off or anything like that. Miz and Kit then go over to the briefcase, and they open it up, and of course the powder sprays directly in their face. We then have Damian Priest and R-Truth. They defeat Fraxium when Priest hits the Razor's Edge on Axiom. After the match, the MFTs run in to wreck both teams. After commercial break, Solo Sikoa and Tala Tonga are still in the ring. Solo shows a clip of Fatu wrecking the team last week. Solo rants about Fatu taking out his family. When Fatu gets here tonight, he's a dead man walking. The Usos then come out to interrupt, and I talk about Fatu using the Tongan Death Grip. It's a sacred move that has been passed down, and Roman Reigns isn't accepting that, so Solo and company need to wait their turn. The Usos are telling instead of asking, so Solo has Atala wreck them. Solo says Reigns isn't his tribal chief, and Fatu is a dead man. Cody then runs into Sami Zayn in the back, who didn't like being called sarcastic and condescending. Zayn asked if this was because he called Rhodes the Golden Boy. They're the last real good guys around here, and they are the same. Rhodes says a lot of that was true, but they are not at all the same. And Cody kind of leaves Sami Zayn dumbfounded and kind of pissed, of course. We then get a clip of Jalen Brunson talking about his love for Roman Reigns. Danhausen uncurses Brunson's New York Knicks, but he does, in fact, keep the curse on ESPN analyst, or what are you going to call him, Stephen A. Smith. So he does curse Stephen A. Smith, but he uncurses the Knicks. We then have Cody Rhodes defeat Ricky Saints via pinfall after he reverses a Rochambeau attempt into a crossroads. After the match, Gunther, of all people, comes in and puts the sleeper hold on Cody Rhodes. Gunther then holds up the WWE title and is seemingly Cody's next challenger. We then have Danhausen in the Danhausen mobile to say he's using $400 he found to buy T-shirts for the fans. This brings out The Miz, who says Danhausen has indeed cursed him. So yes, he will indeed be Danhausen's mentor. They go to shake hands, but Kit Wilson interrupts, saying that Miz is supposed to be his mentor. Miz says Danhausen has become a big deal on his own, so Kit and Danhausen both offer their hands, and Miz will mentor whoever he shakes. He ends up shaking Danhausen's hand, and the curse is loaded up for Kit, but Miz then jumps him from behind, and the beatdown is on. We then get Blake Monroe, another vignette of hers. She's in the bathtub and says she will be here soon to make a difference. We then have Royce Keys defeat Angel via pinfall, falling a big spine buster. Tiffany Stratton then says it's her birthday next week, so it's an open challenge to be laid out. Chelsea Greens comes in to reveal that she's healed and seemingly is on Tiffy's side now that she's lost her secret Hervis. But Kiana James and Julia come in as well to say that they want their shot. Tiffany is fine with that and gives the shot to Kiana instead of Julia. So Julia would seemingly get the next shot, but she kind of is trying to drive a wedge between them and gives Kiana the next shot instead. We then have Jacob Fatu congratulating Royce Keys for winning. They've known each other for a very long time, and Keys gives him a pep talk about remembering what it's like to take what you want. Fatu appreciates that and leaves, but Tala Tonga runs in to jump keys. Fatu then comes back to help with the fight, but ends up getting taken out by the MFTs as well. We then have Sami Zayn. He comes out with the gingerbread man costume. It's kind of set up on like a mannequin. It's not, nobody's in the outfit this time. He says he loves it here in Tulsa and talks about being a big Bob Dylan fan. But what happened when Dylan went electric? The fans turned on him. Bob Dylan apparently has some kind of museum or some kind of something set up in Tulsa. That's why he kind of brings that up. But the fans turn on him when he went electric, and that's what they've done to Sami. He really doesn't get why, but he knows his ride or die fans are here tonight. It's okay, though, because he can deal with bad reactions, but not disrespect like he has received from Trick Williams lately. Sami calls Trick someone who can wear a costume and say catchphrases, but he doesn't understand the idea of actually doing the hard work. He looks at the gingerbread man and sees nothing but disrespect. Sami Zayn then kind of teases punching the gingerbread man, stops himself, and then he eventually knocks it down and hammers away on the mannequin dressed up as the gingerbread man. Trick then runs in to make the save and gives the X kind of injury signal for the gingerbread man. So I don't remember if a stretcher comes out, but they some kind of medical team does come out and kind of carry the mannequin out to the back. We'll see more from that later. We look back at Paige and Brie Bella winning the tag team titles at WrestleMania. The Irresistible Forces are going to win the titles back tonight because they are actually prepared for this time and won't be taken off guard from Paige's involvement. We then have Trick Williams. He leaves the trainer's room and says no one messes with the gingerbread man. Sami Zayn is getting his title rematch at Backlash, but Zayn is messing with Trick's money. If the gingerbread man isn't okay, Sami is getting a beating. When Trick wants something, he gets it. He says, ask the legend herself. When Trick Williams wants it, he gets that ass. Then he's told that the gingerbread man did not, in fact, make it through the situation. So the gingerbread man is no more. R.I.P. Gingy. We then have Brie Bella and Paige. They defeat the Irresistible Forces when Nia misses the Annihilator, and Brie is able to capitalize with a roll-up pin victory. We then have we then get told that the gingerbread has passed away. We have a in memoriam graphic, and then we get told what's kind of coming up next week, and we are going to get a funeral for the gingerbread man. Sami Zayn's kind of in Nick Aldis's office as this is going on, and he complains about the funeral happening. He does confirm that he is getting his U.S. title rematch tonight or at Backlash. And Nick Aldis does confirm this, so Sami seems happy with that. We then have Danhausen come in, and he mentions being attacked. So Aldis says it can be Danhausen versus Kit Wilson and The Miz at Backlash, but only if Danhausen can find a partner. Danhausen says that works, and he'll start searching for somebody that he can team with. And then we get our main event where the MFTs of Solo Sikoa and Tala Tonga defeat the Usos, but it's by DQ when Fatu comes in and attacks Tala. After the match, Fatu hits Tala with the steps and then grabs the Tongan death grip on Solo. Tala gets death gripped as well and followed by a Samoan drop through the table. Fatu then gets back inside the ring for a stare down with the Usos, but walks past them and says, I'm all gas, no brakes, you know what I mean, to end the show. So that wraps up SmackDown. I thought JC Jane versus Charlotte had a really good match. JC seemed to have, she's really impressed so far on SmackDown, so we'll see if she continues to rise and climb. I could see her maybe even getting the Backlash match against Rhea to kind of be her first challenger coming out of. I mean, obviously, I think they're somewhat headed towards a Charlotte versus Rhea match in the future, but we'll see where they go in the immediate future. We'll then go to Collision. It was a pretty compact and short show, so we'll get through it pretty quickly. But the Death Riders of Claudio Castagnoli, Pac, and Mox, as well as the Dogs of Finley and Connors, they, as a 10-man unit, or a 5-man unit defeat Top Flight and the Rascals when Pac is able to get Darius to tap to the Brutalizer for the win. So really solid 10-man tag there. We then have Jack Perry on his national championship tour. He obviously is the national champion, and he's on a tour bus. He's trying to do like a old bus thing with, kind of just to give it a gimmick. Obviously, Luchasaurus is injured right now, but he is driving the bus. He is taking Jack Perry around, and Jack Perry's giving all kind of title shots out for his national championship. He ends up taking on Mascara Dorado tonight, and he is able to defeat him. He hits a Super Hurricane Rana from the top rope to get the win. We go back to kind of after Dynamite or during Dynamite. Chris Statlander is snapped on Hikaru Shida for costing them the women's tag team titles, kind of pins her up against the wall, and Shida promises that she will make it up to her some way, somehow. We then have the Conglomeration. They defeat MXM TV when Orange hits a falling top rope elbow on Johnny TV for the win. After the match, Tommaso Ciampa comes out for a stare down, obviously implying that he and FTR will be getting a title shot soon enough, I should say. We then kind of get a somber moment on commentary. Rebel, who has been on the AEW, I won't say she's on the roster per se, but she's been employed by AEW since about the beginning. She was Britt Baker's manager early on, but she has been diagnosed with ALS earlier this week, or earlier in the week, and she's obviously dealing through that. So obviously just showing support for her, saying they're praying for her, all that kind of stuff. So just shouting her out and putting out there that all the fans are behind her, and as well as the company. So they just throw out a little health update there. We then recap Will Ospreay pretty much joining the Death Riders. We'll see where that continues to go going forward, but we get a pretty good recap of that from what happened earlier in the week. We then have Willow Nightingale. She defeats Anna Jay via pinfall following the Babe with the powerbomb. Hikaru Shida's makeup gift for Chris Statlander is a match against Harley Cameron and Mina Shirakawa. They end up yelling at each other after that and kind of walking off, still mad. We then get the Bang Bang Gang of Juice Robinson and Ace Austin. They defeat the Death Rider unit of Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia when Robinson hits his forward DDT on Garcia. After the match, Jon Moxley freaks out and Juice Robinson motions that he wants the Continental Championship. That brings the rest of the Riders out for a beatdown, but the Guns then come in, Austin and Colton. So Colton is back. And they come in to make the save, and Wheeler Yuta ends up eating a 310 to Yuma as the Bang Bang Gang stands tall. We then have Megan Bayne and Lena Cross. They brag about their successes as the women's tag team champions and look forward to continuing their success going forward as champions. We then have Sky Blue defeat Nixie XS via pinfall following the Descent to Madness. And then Kevin Knight wins the main event versus Hook. He wins via pinfall with the UFO Splash, retaining his TNT championship. As far as the best match for the show, I thought that main event was pretty solid, but Jack Perry and Mascara Dorado had a pretty good banger, so I would check that one out for sure. And was definitely match of the show for me, so definitely check that one out. Thank you everyone for joining me on number 101 here tonight. So we've bypassed number 100 and we're headed to the next 100. So thank you for supporting me all this time. Thank you for continuing to listen, and we will see you next week.